Hey, that looks like Rod and I.
Great. Okay. So we'll go through the syllabus kind of briefly, but you know, first day of class is sort of all this information in one ear and quickly out the other. So you're going to hold on to this for the term anyway and refer to it as you need to. So we're just going to hit some of the major points. But so you have found the classroom. That is good. And you can just call me Daniel. Try and keep it fairly casual. My office hours, I've already come up with office hours, so those are printed bottom right. And on Monday, Wednesday, 12 to 1, they're not actually in my office, so I guess they're technically not office hours, but it's in the tutor center. So I'm going to keep doing that. I think that has worked out in the past. And that's in a different building, Terrell Hall 125. There's just an adjoining room next to the tutor center where I just kind of park for an hour and people can come in, work on stuff, and I help them as they go along. As opposed to having one person at a time come to my office and ask a question, and if there's a lineup, it's just kind of a waste of resources, I think. Tuesday, Thursday, it's actually in my office. And Tuesday today, so yeah, 4:30, 5:30, that's our class time, isn't it? Right, but then I have a class that starts at 4:30 on Tuesday. Okay, so that is going to have to change, but oh my goodness, that's my, okay, I left the office hours. X this all out.
This is the same one I went from my
That was
stats
the syllabus that I used last term that did not,
freezing
and I didn't
in
change the office hours correctly. So, I will make an addendum to this. We'll talk about office hours. I'll do it towards the end of class. I'll get on my another syllabus and find the office hours that are the correct ones. That was from last term. I'm actually teaching at 4:30. Yeah, on Tuesday and Thursday, so that won't work. Anyway. So course description, so we're going to spend the whole term on differential equations. If you took Calc 3 here at PCC, you've seen an introduction to it in Chapter 7 of your calculus book. So we're going to go into, of course, a lot more detail. Okay, we looked at one small corner of differential equation world in Chapter 7 in Calc 3. So we're going to be looking at all sorts of different topics from different perspectives. Algebraically, we'll try and find exact solutions when possible. If not possible, we'll be looking at different numerical methods of approximating solutions to differential equations and doing applications, okay, physics, engineering, things like that, some common applications. So I really emphasize being able to communicate results, so in the homework write-ups, problem sets, things like that, being clear with the communication, what you're doing, what the mathematics is telling you, what the solution means, things like that. So that will be highly emphasized throughout the course, being able to communicate results and process. Email contact, this is kind of big. A lot of times, I email folks, send out reminders or whatever, especially over the long weekend. Hey, keep this in mind, you got this coming up, or we're going to have a quiz. So try and check the email regularly. If you don't check your PCC account, you can set up a forwarding system where it will forward your PCC email to any other email address that you like. Okay. We have a couple more back here. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to put the rest of them right here. Everybody else comes in. Try and direct them to that. Okay, so required material. The textbook is new. The different textbook, not the calculus textbook, differential equations, computing and modeling. I don't think they have another version. It's thicker that has boundary value problems. You don't need that one. Okay. So it's kind of nice. This is a lot less thick than the calculus book, so it's not as intimidating, right? So textbook, always a good idea to have like an engineering pad. Things like this that you can do notes on. It's nice and light on the front, but you do have a grid visible, so you can draw graphs when you need to, and they can coexist with the algebra, and everything looks beautiful. So I really encourage things like that. Some sort of calculator, TI-89 or Casio ClassPad 330, those are the two we support, okay? I generally don't do a whole lot of calculator demos in class. If I'm gonna do a technology demo, we'll do something sometimes involving Maple, or even Excel, can do some stuff with differential equations here and there, okay? But when I do use a calculator, it will be the TI-89, okay? Pencils, all that, straight edge, colored pencils if you like, those are nice when you're drawing multiple graphs. And access to Maple, we'll see how much it's going to be used, what's going to be required, okay? But access to it, the good thing is you don't have to purchase it. You can use the labs here if you have the time. All of the computer labs here have Maple on the machines already, okay? As well as, you know, Graph, that's the actual name of the program. They all are loaded with Graph, that's free software. And there's all sorts of other free software out there, some applets online you can do some stuff with as well. Okay, prerequisites. So PCC requires that people to get into this class have to have passed 253. Interestingly, not necessarily 254. Okay, 253 is the last rung in the ladder from which you can spring in all sorts of different directions. So 253 with a passing grade, 254 probably helpful, but not required. Okay. Expectations, you guys can read that on your own. I basically, what I assume about you is that to get to this level, you know the sort of time dedication necessary to be successful at this higher level in math class. So it requires a lot of time spent outside of class figuring things out, and when you're not figuring things out, that you take advantage of the resources that you got. So there's all sorts of online resources coming to me, office hours, things like that, working together to get where you need to go. And you can expect from me that I will do everything in my power to help you out, help you be successful, okay? Short of doing exams and quizzes for you. But if you come to me for help, I'm more than willing to meet you halfway, okay? So quick, the grading procedures. Let's see if we can get this fired up. There's a syllabus, thank you. All right, so graded problem sets, that's like the weekly assignments you actually write up. There'll be a collection of problems. That will be 20% of your final grade, so that's a good chunk. That's because that's where you're getting practice, and so it's emphasized higher than quizzes, for instance, okay? Where you're on the spot and have to produce with time constraints and all that. This has to be on. Quizzes, 10% of your final grade. There will be a project, and that's something that's sort of mandated in our directions as an instructor in this class. There has to be some sort of project. That will be assigned accordingly later on in the term, week 4 or 5 or something like that. Okay? So you don't have to worry your heads about that just now. That's the good news. And that's 10% of your final grade. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, no, 10% is nothing. If I get A average on my exams and my quizzes and my problem sets, I'm going to blow off that project for 10% of my grade. Okay? It will be required that you do it to pass the class. Okay? So if you're an ace on all the exams and you go, man, I'm not going to worry about that project. It's only 10% of my grade. I can still get a 90. No, you have to do it to pass the class. That's one of the requirements. I need to get a project from you. Exams, there will be 2 in-class exams, 35%. And that's an odd number. All right, so what I do with that 35%, 2 exams, is I will take the higher score, the higher of your 2 exams, and I will weight that 20% of your final grade. The lower score of your exams, I'll only weight that 15% of your final grade. So a little bit of separate, that helps people if there's a big gap in your exam scores. Say you do really improve on the second one, well, that higher score will be more emphasized, higher percentage of your final grade. Okay, taking that into account. Standard grading scale at 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89, 99, whatever, 77, 90, all that. And then one other requirement that on top of this, besides this, it's also, to pass the course, it will be necessary to have at least a 65% average on the 2 midterm exams, and at least a 60% on the final itself, okay? So I just see these as sort of minimum benchmarks, you know, so showing proficiency. The 68% is not exactly proficiency, but if you get below that, then I don't consider that proficient to move on, but anyway. So next page. Homework, I will assign book homework, so you'll get nightly practice, okay? And that's going to be for your benefit, because I'm not going to collect those book problems daily, okay? But I go through those problems, and sometimes I'll pull those and make quiz problems from those, or problems a lot like that on exams, things like that. So it is definitely to your benefit to do the homework problems. The graded problem sets themselves will just be a weekly sort of subset of the textbook homework. So I'll select a few of those problems, and that will be like a formal write-up that will be due the following week. Okay? So problem sets, generally, you know, 3 to 5 or 6 problems is all. Okay, but in return for the brevity, shorter, you know, smaller number of problems, I do want to see formal, you know, a lot of detail, clear work, conclusions, all that should be readable, okay? We'll talk about, there's a format for submitted work we'll talk about in a moment as well. On these, you do not need, it's not required that you do this on a word processor. You don't have to use, you know, Word or LaTeX or LaTeX, however you want to call that. I don't think anybody knows LaTeX. All right, so it's not necessary. You can use pencil and paper just so long as your writing is readable and I can follow it and all that. It's clear. Quizzes. So quizzes will be, you know, how many? I don't know, 3 to 5 quizzes probably only. Some of them will be in class, and there may be 1 or 2 take-home quizzes as well, depending on the time frame. Okay. And so those certainly synthesize concepts that you see in class, as well as the homework problems themselves. Careful, yeah, if you miss a day on which we have a quiz, you need to contact me to make arrangements for when to make that up. It absolutely has to be made up before the time I pass them back in class. So once I pass quizzes back in class, all bets are off, no makeup's given, just for the obvious reason that they're out there graded. Okay, so you got to be proactive. Make sure you talk to me if you're going to be missing anything. And quizzes, I'm fairly lenient. If you have to miss a day and we have a quiz, I'll say, okay, yeah, come on in tomorrow, the off day or something. Make sure you knock it out before I pass them back in class. Project. So like I said, there will be a formal written project. It will be done in teams of 2. I might be lenient, teams of 2 to 3. I don't know if we have an even number, an odd number of people in here. And this one will have to be done, you know, be word processed, so using some sort of software. Okay. It'll be announced accordingly in class. We'll give you details when we come to that. Okay. Exams. So like I said, there's 2 in-class exams, comprehensive final. Exams may have a take-home portion as well as an in-class part. Again, the minimum benchmark requirements. Final exam is scheduled for Tuesday of finals week. I print this in several places, so it's not that one spot that you have to find it when you're looking for things. It's kind of all over the place. Resources, there's all sorts of resources available to you. I keep everything, all the classwork we do, and the syllabus, and a schedule, tentative class schedule. I will post on my PCC. Is there anybody new to PCC? Coming from elsewhere, has never been here? Okay. Everyone familiar with my PCC? Okay, we got one. Don't be shy. All right. So as long as you're registered for the class, so you got a PCC account, my PCC. Log in, and I keep it basic. I don't have my own fancy web page or anything like that. If you go to my courses, go to differential equations, and there's just a few simple tools here that I use. So for instance, links. When I come across interesting pages on the web or something, I may post links that would be of interest to you. So there's already one up there. But mainly, I do files. So in files, you'll see all the stuff that we do in class, for instance. There's going to be an activity today. And you can find all these blanks and course documents. There's a copy of the syllabus and our attendance class schedule. And when we do things like quizzes in class, and I've graded them and gotten them back to you, I'll have a folder marked solutions, where I'll put the solutions to those quizzes and things like that. You can use that as a resource. Of course, aside from just MyPCC, there's all sorts of online resources. I'm sure a lot of you folks have, a favorite website or something where you can go and pull from Alpha, things like that. Okay. I don't know if Khan Academy does any differential equating stuff. I'd be surprised if he didn't. He seems to do everything. And does he? Differential equating?
Much.
Yeah.
Just for
Yeah, Khan Academy. Yeah, you can probably find stuff in there. All right. He seems to know a lot about everything. A little bit about everything. Each other. Okay, so a lot of you folks have taken classes together in the past, and you already have some rapport. And if not, find a group or find a buddy or two that you work well with, and get together. You can also keep each other on top of assignments, things like that. If you miss a day, you can find out what we did, what's going on, all sorts of things like that. Disability accommodation, so ADA. So PCC really works hard to make sure everybody is supported and has equal access. If you're registered with the Disability Services and you do require some classroom accommodations, come talk to me. If you're not registered with them and you think you need some classroom accommodations, contact them and set up an appointment and get back to me as soon as possible so we can get that all set up. Take care of any required accommodations. Any questions so far? Pretty standard. Okay. Oh, student rights, you can take a look at this. You have certain rights, recourse. If you think you've been wrong in some way, you do have rights, and there's a path you can follow to try and redress those rights. I guess that's the word. So freedom of expression, protection from improper evaluation or disclosure, things like that. So it's just saying that there are people you can talk to if the situation arises. Policies, attendance policy, well, I don't have a formal attendance policy. You see that I'm not grading on attendance and participation, but there is an attendance policy as far as the school goes. So if for some reason, if you decide that you need to withdraw the class, you need to do that formally. If you just stop coming, that just means you get zeros on everything, and I have to assign a grade at the end of the term. So that's in your realm of responsibility to make sure that you withdraw all that stuff. Makeup policy. So it's always the best policy is to just contact me ahead of time if you have to miss a class or if there's an assignment or anything like that. You need to make arrangements with me in place before the next class session. Quizzes, like I said, I'm a little lenient. Exams are a different story. So if you have to miss a class on the day of an exam, you have to contact me ahead of time, A, and B, we need to have specific arrangements in place. So an email 20 minutes ahead of an exam does not count as specific arrangements for when and where that exam is going to be made up. Okay? So generally that's not a problem in classes like this. Okay? It happens from time to time in Math 60. I won't see somebody, there's an exam, and a week down the road they show back up and say, hey, when can I take that exam? I think there was an exam. And I say, sorry. And it's done, and they're not happy about that. Cell phones, I don't see that being a problem in here. Cell phone usage, try and have them away. They're too much of a temptation for some people to stay away from them. Gotta have a Facebook or a text open, find out what's happening with Bill and Susan. Are they still together? I don't know. They break up. They're always breaking up and getting back together. Anyway, so put it away if it's a temptation. Like I said, at this level, usually not a temptation. Change to the syllabus. So if we have any school closures, or if we're behind, if anything needs to be changed on the schedule, I'll make those announcements accordingly in class. I hope we don't have any more snow days, snow apocalypse days in the spring, but you never know. Okay, so I'll try and make any announcements in class, send out emails as well, so be sure you're checking emails from time to time. So, class philosophy. Like I said, at this level, you're aware of the time commitment that's necessary to be successful. So just make sure you are being proactive. Take control of your own learning process. I'm here to help you, of course, but I'm more of a guide at this level than the end-all, be-all. So a lot of the learning is going to be happening outside of class. So you know you have to prepare and put that time aside to make sure you're understanding all the concepts. Okay. I also like to, everyone feels comfortable asking questions or pointing out errors from time to time if we're having a discussion. So that just requires respect, being sensitive to people, not shouting out, oh, that's ridiculous, that's way wrong. Listen to yourself. I was in a class at PSU, and there was this one guy. He would just contradict everybody. He'd be like, no, listen to what you're thinking, listen to what you're saying. And it's just not very kind. All right, so showing respect. In turn, I'll be respectful to each of you. Okay, so you should feel comfortable asking questions without being ridiculed for being wrong. I mean, who gives a crap about it? If you're going to be wrong, you're going to be wrong from time to time. I'll be wrong. I'll make a mistake from time to time. Let's just get over it quickly. Okay. Math is about making mistakes. That's why we do pencil, and learning from that. Okay? If you can understand where you went wrong with a mistake, well, then you're learning it. You know where to go from there. Okay. So yeah, make sure you do everything you need to get what you want out of the class. If it's just an A and moving on because you're in engineering, great. If you really enjoy math, make sure then get what you want out of it. Okay. And if you flip to the back, and this will be like next week when we have our first problem sets due. Look at the writing guides for problem sets. What I'm looking for overall. Okay. At this point, I don't see just chicken scratch and no explanation given. There's just chicken scratch and an answer. I don't see that at this level. So most people have been exposed to the requirements of instructors before me and are pretty well aware of the writing requirements, how to present formally a technical write-up to a problem or something. Okay. So any other questions? Yeah.
I'm just curious, besides like the title of the class, what will we actually be learning? Is this like a fork off of calculus, or
is it a what?
Like a fork off of calculus, or like an operand?
It's very calculus-y, as someone put it. They like differential equations. Calc 3 to do power series and all this stuff. It's very weird. It doesn't feel like calculus anymore. Differential equations, it's a lot more having to do with derivatives. I mean, the word is in the differential equation. It's just an equation that involves one or more derivatives of some unknown function. So, and we're going to be looking at all sorts of methods of solving, approximating, different types, things like that. So it is calculus based, definitely.
I don't know if I missed this. You said that the office hours on here are wrong, but I don't remember if you actually said what they are.
No, because I don't remember off the top of my head. So I came up with office hours.
Last term where it sort of kind of precedes our class by an hour in the Carroll Hall.
There will be office hours on Tuesday and Thursday. I just don't want to write it because I don't remember. What I did was I edited the 254, that class that I just last taught. I edited this syllabus. Forgot to change that bottom right office hour bit. Okay. So yeah, what he's talking about, if you came in here late, this is wrong, and I'll get on that while we're in class, and I'll make sure I'll write it down before we get to class. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Let me get out one more thing to you before we start. And this is the tentative schedule where